To start tonight with something a lot of people are talking about. Right now, the Bay Area and the California coast are still under a tsunami advisory. Hawaii is under a warning, and this all stems from a magnitude 8.8 earthquake that struck off Russia's far eastern peninsula. This is some video from the moment that big earthquake hit. You can see people were getting ready to evacuate their building in that area. Emergency crews in Russia responded to some reports of damage. A kindergarten is among the buildings that were hit hard in the earthquake. Russia's TASS news agency also says people are dealing with power outages and mobile phone outages. A local Russian official says people on a nearby island had to be evacuated too. Now, that massive earthquake hit just before 4:30 p.m. our time, just off Russia's Pacific coast. According to the USGS, 8.8 is tied for the sixth strongest earthquake ever recorded. All right, so here's a live picture tonight from Japan. The country's meteorological agency warned that tsunami conditions there could last for at least a day. So far, waves that have hit the East Coast have been around 2 feet. And we also have a live look at Hawaii in Honolulu. They've been bracing for some impacts, and they're under a tsunami warning, as we mentioned. The Honolulu mayor asked people to move to higher ground well ahead of the incoming wave. Flight trackers show some flights heading to Hawaii had to turn around. Hawaiian and Alaska Airlines are asking all passengers to check their flight status before they head out to the airport. All right, so we want to bring in Paul Hagen. I think a tsunami is something that when people hear the word, they have this picture in their mind of what they see in movies, which, of course, is not necessarily accurate and not reflective of what we anticipate here in the Bay Area.
Right, or they think of even documentary, real footage from the 2004 tsunami, the day after Christmas, that hit the Indian Ocean and hit Thailand and Indonesia and all the way towards India and the coast of Africa. Absolutely devastating. Nowhere close to that is what we're expecting around here. We have a tsunami advisory, which means it's a lower threshold. Let's get into the details here. We'll start by talking about, first of all, the earthquake itself. Some reference, North American continent. You can see the tsunami advisories outlined along the west coast. All the way over here, off the Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia, is where that earthquake occurred. Again, magnitude 8.8. And to put that in perspective, we do want to look at the scale by which we measure these earthquakes. And this is towards the top of the scale. Again, tied for the sixth largest on record, equivalent to 1 trillion pounds of explosive essentially detonating under the water. That's the kind of energy that's released, and that's why the whole surface of the ocean then gets sent out in these ripples away from the source of that earthquake, and that has prompted the tsunami advisories and tsunami warnings. Those show up in pink for the entire Aleutian Islands chain extending off of Alaska, and currently those waves are beginning to hit Hawaii. The first waves hitting Kauai as we speak. I was looking at some of the latest data coming in within the last 10 minutes. So far, the waves have been under a foot on top of what the normal wave heights are, but this is just beginning. It's going to extend down the rest of the Hawaiian island chain, and then it makes its way to the west coast. Almost the entire west coast under tsunami advisory. There is a tsunami warning that's in effect for the north coast of California near Crescent City, because that's where the wave heights are going to be a little bit stronger. Just the shape of the coastline, its orientation helps to maximize those wave heights between 2.5 and 5 feet around Crescent City. Compare that to 2011, the earthquake that happened off the coast of Japan that resulted in all of that damage for the Japanese island chain. That sent an 8-foot surge of water into Crescent City. So this is going to be a lower impact, but still impactful event. Less than a foot around the San Francisco Bay Area. Back in 2011, we had a 3-foot surge into Santa Cruz Harbor. Not likely to be the case this time, about a 1-foot surge of water. And the timing of this is about an hour and a half from now, around 12:40, hitting the coast of San Francisco with a later arrival time down the coast of California. But again, the most likely scenario is that most of the coast is going to see less than a 1-foot tsunami surge as we head through the rest of tonight. We're going to keep an eye on this. As new data comes in, we're going to keep revising these numbers, especially as real-time data is coming in from Hawaii. Sarah?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the concerns. Obviously, here, we're glad there won't be serious impacts. Paul, thank you so much for keeping an eye on that for us. The most recent tsunami concerns in the Bay Area happened last December. Perhaps you remember a 7.0 quake struck off the Northern California coast, and thousands of people in Pacifica raced to get to higher ground. Cars backed up for miles on Highway 1 as people tried to get out of town. Many people got that alert on their phone in that situation. That tsunami warning was canceled about an hour after the alert went out. All right, Paul mentioned back in 2011 that tsunami that roared across the Pacific that caused major damage to the Santa Cruz Harbor after a 9.0 earthquake in Japan. That caused an estimated $20 million in damage to the harbor. Like we said, a tsunami advisory is currently along the entire California coastline, with waves expected to reach landfall around 1 in the morning. Amanda Harry is on the coast of Pacifica. She joins us live tonight. Amanda, I know that really we haven't seen the impacts of this yet, but what have you been hearing and seeing as you've been out there this evening?
Right now, things are pretty quiet. There's not much going on here. The waves, pretty typical. But one of the big things is there's not a lot of people around. And every official we've spoke to says it should stay that way. They want to make sure people avoid coming to the coast.
Shortly after a massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Russia, sparking tsunami concerns, people were still planning on spending the night on the coast in Pacifica.
If it's something serious, our phones would be going crazy.
Emilio Moreno lives in Pacifica. Right now, he's not too concerned, but research geophysicist Eric Geist says there's an argument for Moreno and others to exercise caution.
It is from a large earthquake that is known to generate ocean-wide tsunami, a transoceanic tsunami. So we have historical data from 1952. It was an earthquake in a very similar location, similar magnitude, produced a tsunami all around the Pacific. So we know this is a dangerous event.
Just a few months ago, in December of 2024, Pacifica and the Bay Area dealt with a tsunami warning. The warning was scaled back not long after it went out. Assistant Director of the San Mateo County Department of Emergency Management, Ryan Reynolds, says they learned from that and are more prepared today.
And one of the things that we did was create a tsunami toolbox and a tsunami dashboard, and that was something that we could share out with the public.
People can search their address on the San Mateo County Tsunami Hazard Area dashboard and figure out if they're in a hazard zone. But Reynolds says you shouldn't panic and instead should focus on staying prepared.
We expect it to be very minimal. The National Tsunami Center is expecting that wave heights will be less than 1 foot, so very small. We are in a tsunami advisory. The tsunami advisory recommends that people stay off of beaches and stay out of the water, and we're going to echo that advice.
Geist says he's most concerned about surfers.
My biggest worry, to be honest, is people getting in the water and trying to surf a tsunami. Tsunamis are not like any other ocean waves. They come in really fast. The rule of thumb is if you're on the beach and you see a tsunami, it's too late to outrun it.
Geist warns that tsunamis can be long-lasting events, so the waves can continue for 24 to 36 hours and cause injury or even death. So if something like that was to hit, he continues to recommend that people stay away from the coast for a couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, Amanda. I know a lot of people are not out on the beach in Pacifica at 11 o'clock at night, so that's probably a good thing. I know you'll be out there just checking things out as the wave rolls in,
yes,
should that happen. Thank you so much for your reporting. We appreciate it.